So talk us through the profit first.
So profit first is, I came to realize that my struggles with profit were not just for me, it's the vast majority of humanity. And here's a strange thing, if you run a business, you can attract prospects, deliver your services, market to them, manage maybe your team, literally hundreds, thousands, maybe millions of different elements you can do, but the vast majority of us can't figure out profit. There was a study that I read, and I don't know the source anymore, but it said 83% of small businesses are in check-to-check survival. And that means 83% of this room is in check-to-check survival, and I guarantee that's the truth. Now, how entrepreneurship and business ownership is, you can't say that. You have to pound your chest on revenue and say how great it is. But most of us are struggling, and that's what my life was as an entrepreneur. And I said, how come everything works except that one piece? Like, what's missing in my brain? And that's when I discovered the formula, the foundational formula we're told about profit is like totally wrong. The foundational formula is sales minus expenses equals profit. It's taught, thousands of books teach this. Every college class on accounting starts off with sales minus expenses equals profit. We talk about it. We even call profit the bottom line, the year end, final thing. That's bullshit. Because when something comes last, it means it's insignificant. Like, bottom line, like bottom feeder, how's that sound? Like, and you never say, like, I'm gonna start putting my health last starting today. Or, you know what, finally, I'm gonna put my family last.
Yeah.
Never. Those are all things of insignificance. So the problem with profit coming last means it's insignificant. And our natural behavioral response is we wait until right now, April 15th, this is a couple days away, right? Oh my gosh, it's coming fast. Right now, most business owners, including myself, I would say, oh, no profit again, maybe next year. And I would literally delay the consideration for profit a full year. So what I teach in Profit First is a behavioral-based financial management. The core premise is this. You flip the formula. It's sales minus profit equals expenses. I am emphatic that's the right formula. Every time you have a sale, any form of revenue comes into your business, you immediately take a predetermined percentage of that money as profit. You hide it away. It's the pay yourself first principle simply applied to business. You take it, you allocate it away, and then your business will tell you what's left over to operate the business.
If a percentage of this audience is in real estate, a lot of these people own real estate brokerages or businesses where they have employees. And we talk about the top number for us, revenue, is also called GCI, or gross commission income. And that's the total amount of money they make. So let's say that let's start with $100,000 they made in total commissions. What you get to say there is you're saying, hey, decide how much that you want to live on first, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever that might be, 50,000 in this situation, right? And then you get to decide right away that whatever's left over is the only amount that you have available to pay expenses unless you increase this number?
Right.
Is that basically what you're saying?
That's right.
So in our industry, we have, in the real estate industry, we have something called cost of goods sold. Yep. So if we were to say, hey, we want to have $1 million a year revenue business, which a lot of people in this room have $1 million a year revenue business, a lot of times they use leverage or sales professionals to do part of that work, and we would put that in our cost of goods sold category because a percentage of that commission is getting paid to the agent that actually worked with the buyer or the agent that actually worked with that seller. And let's say on average that a certain percentage of that is 50% goes away because that's paid to the agent that does that. When I read your book, it hit home a lot because I coach and talk to so many real estate agents, and I was wondering, how could somebody that has a business that makes $1 million a year never have any money left? And I started doing this math and saying, well, right off the bat, they take 50% that goes away, so they only have that, right? So if that person that ran this massively large business wanted to make $250,000 a year, that means that they only have $250,000 a year for expenses. Mm-hmm. But they weren't doing that. They were doing exactly what you said. They were starting with here, and then they were spending a whole bunch of money, and at the end of the year, they were like Homer Simpson, wondering what the heck just happened, why they didn't have anything left here. So why did the businesses continue to do this to themselves every year?
Why?
Yeah, why do you think that's such a...
Oh, I know exactly why. So it's called Parkinson's law. Can I reciprocate with another picture?
I would love it. Yeah, let's duel this stuff out.
Let's duel it out.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Let's do it.
So I can do one picture, but it's extremely vile. So yeah, I won't do it. History lesson, Parkinson was a theorist from the 1950s studying human behavior, and he discovers that the supply and demand curve, another established belief, is actually inaccurate. I mean, it's accurate in some circumstances, but it's inaccurate in others. So supply demand works like this. The higher the demand is for an offering, supply will increase to meet demand. That's basic economics. He actually looked at this and said it's a reverse when it comes to human behavior. As supply increases, our consumption, our demand for it increases. The classic example is in food. If you want to know why there's a skyrocketing obesity rate, now it's an international tragedy. Plates, in the last 300 years, the dining plates we used to eat off of, literally George Washington and his buddies were eating off plates that we would consider a coffee plate, coffee saucer, or a dessert plate. Plates have literally doubled in size in the last 300 years. The human behavior hasn't changed. We still fill up our plates, and as our moms have told us and our dads, clean off your plate. But since the plates have doubled in size, the servings doubled in size, our consumption doubles, and therefore our waistlines have doubled as a society. The solution, by the way, if you want to control diet, for example, is simply get smaller plates.
I thought I had a metabolism issue. I have a plate problem.
Yeah, check out the plates at your house.
Yeah, Aaron, order small plates.
Listen, I have two teenage boys. One's no longer a teenager, but two. Does anyone have teenage boys here, by the way? Okay, so I apologize to all of you, because they're not teenage boys, they're creatures. The food consumption is ridiculous. And like, we go through a box of Cheerios every hour at our house. And these two goons, they'll come to the kitchen table and they take out the bowl and then they take out the Cheerios and they just pour it, and there's shit everywhere, right? But very carefully, like as a Jenga tower, they reassemble the Cheerios. So I don't know how you do it, but it's overflowing, it's balanced. They add milk and they can't even speak English. They just grab their bowl and they're right? If you're laughing, you have a teenage boy. So what I did was I tried out an experiment. I started to break the bowls at our house and bought smaller ones at the local store. So our bowls were big, and I got rid of them, got slightly smaller ones. Little side note, do not buy like little ramekin like bowl dish things. Those goons will notice that. But go slightly smaller. And then like over a month, I broke those, and they don't notice a thing. You know, I got slightly smaller. I did like 4 iterations of reductions, reducing the size over 6 months, and they never noticed. And like a box of cereal now lasted 3 days, which if you have teenage boys is a miracle. That's Parkinson's law. Parkinson stated that as the supply increases, so does our demand. But if we restrict the supply or availability of something, it's called forced frugality. You have to consume less. And we also become very innovative in how we use it. So I know why that doesn't work. It's because we're using Parkinson's law against us. As you increase the supply of money, you got $1 million of commission, coming in. You see a great supply. Our mind says, "Oh, now I can afford. Now I need to do. I can finally pay," and the money goes all out because you're serving all this food, and the company's just like, "Thank you, thank you." But if we start constraining the serving tray, that cash, if you take that $250 off and put it in your pocket, hide it away from yourself first, and now you have less money available, the businesses can't eat it up. Can I give one more example? Because I'm all jacked up now.
I would have just poured the milk right in the cereal box because it's plastic, and I would have held it.
Oh, is that how you did it?
Just walk around with my box, but.
You are a goon, sir. You are a goon.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
I just want to give one more example because it's my favorite story to tell, and it's proof of how this works. So if you want to see how you work with money, it's going to happen tonight when you get ready for bed. You will experience Parkinson's law because it's wired into every human being. When you brush your teeth tonight, watch your own behavior. It's fascinating. There's 1 or 2 things that's going to happen tonight. You pull out your toothbrush, and then you open the drawer. Maybe you flew in, so you have the gear bag or whatever. and you have either a full tube of toothpaste or not. And if it's a full tube of toothpaste, what do? You put it on there. It was my first time to this city. The water pressure here is pretty over the top in this hotel. So this morning I turn on the faucet and it's like this water goes whoosh, and my toothpaste goes launching across the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who cares? I got my new tube of toothpaste. And so that's lesson 1 of Parkinson's law. When you have a full tube of toothpaste, we'll use excessive amounts. And if it falls in the sink at a hotel, no way am I scooping that out. Who knows what has happened in these sinks here? I'm actually getting a little sick thinking about it. But the second scenario is going to happen to someone in this room tonight, Ben. Someone in this room is going to experience this tonight. You open the drawer, you're like, this was a great event, this was so much fun today. You open the drawer, you're like, oh my God, I have an empty tube of toothpaste. And it's not empty, it's like a shriveled up, twisted prune-like, And all of a sudden, you become like a superhero. The strength you can garner. You're like, all right, game time, I've been waiting for you, And then you're like, and you start that torquing thing. You're like, come on. And there's this vein you didn't know was right. You're like, oh my God, that vein in the mirror, it's disgusting, but I don't care. Some people use the leverage of the knee pit as a...
I use Q-tips in there. You had to sort of wipe it out.
That's how you clean the cracks, I heard. So...
Yeah. Well, at least it's minty fresh afterwards.
Right. Oh, the visual just got so much worse. I don't know what I did. So you're torquing down this thing. One person tonight will experience the turtle head of toothpaste, which is when you put down that toothbrush because you put the toothbrush down because the only way to push the toothpaste out is with a double thumb grip, right? And you start pushing down. And if you push long enough and hard enough, all of a sudden the turtle head starts coming out. And it's like, oh, and you're like, I got you, mother effer.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you talk to your toothpaste so violently, but you do. And then, what I found is the only way to get to that turtle head is you have both your thumbs on it.
Yeah, you can't let go.
You can't, but you have to. So you do that super fast. You're like, and as you do that, the turtle head's like.
Yeah, so true. So true.
So you Q-tip it out. You Q-tip it out, or you cut the back end off. But the thing is, here's the moral of the story. Somehow you will get toothpaste out of that thing. And what this means, and I know you've experienced this, a brand new tube of toothpaste lasts 2, 3, 4 weeks. An empty tube of toothpaste can go for 3, 4 weeks, right?
Yeah.
So that's why that's the problem with the money. It is wired into all of humanity. When we allow more toothpaste, more cash into our business, we just gobble it up all over the place.
Yeah.
It's just wired into us. The most money I made as an income, my second company, we were doing $7 million in revenue, which I love that you said revenue means nothing. I heard you off stage, because it means nothing. I had $7 million in revenue. I had $500,000 of debt on that business that year that accumulated through SBA loans and all this different nonsense. Because as more money came in, I justified, I need the grade A space, the class A office space. So when clients come in, they're blown away and impressed, which, by the way, we never had a client visit our office, but that's how I justified it. And I need more employees because that's the big ego filler. So I had a $7 million company with 33 employees, which if you run the quick math is not necessarily a particularly healthy company. I'm sorry, we weren't at 7 million yet. We were less than that when we brought on 30 employees and we were growing. It was not healthy. It was not a healthy company. But I used all that money to justify an ego, a big fat ego. It's interestingly, now I'm more impressed by a company that does $500,000 in revenue and the person's taking home 200 grand than a company that has 10 million and the person's taking home 200 grand. The $500,000 person's figured it out,
There's no reason to have the stress of 20 employees and all these expenses just to bring home a small amount. You just might as well just go sell a couple houses in our industry and not worry about it. But we get into this point where we're all chasing revenue because we're trying to fulfill this ego problem, or we try to solve our business's profit problems with revenue instead of expense management.
Yeah. To me, revenue is is stress. Revenue, because if you look at revenue, revenue is obligation. Every sale you have that degree of obligation to deliver on that, right? So the more revenue you have, the more obligation you have. The more obligation you have, the more stress on yourself and your organization. The equilibrium to this is profit. And so many people, like, I think you need to have sales. That's the oxygen for business. You have to have inbound cash flow. But the nutrition, the food and water for the business is profit. And businesses are starving to death. They're wilting away, and they're like gasping for air, sales, thinking that will satisfy their hunger, and it never will.